Cultivating consciousness. With your host, Kelsey, Sweet.
Good morning, Revolution Radio. This is your hostess, Kelsey Sweet, and welcome to Cultivating Consciousness. It's May 27th, 2020. And this is Studio A on freedomslips.com, Revolution.Radio, Revolution Radio. You can find us online. When you do find us online, you can jump into the chat room. I'm not in the chat room this morning. I might try to jump in there. We'll see. But you can also, through the radio station, find our schedule, where you can see who's playing what, where, when, through Studio A and through Studio B. You can also see our management, introduce yourself, say hello, get a feel for what's going on here, and then jump into our donation section. You can send us money that way. You can even become a patron or a patron on Patreon with us as well. Bear with us as we're going through another round of transitions and upgrading and updating and advancing ourselves through all of this. Definitely is an energetic day, to say the least. I feel people listening right outside my door. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Let's see. As we get started, because things in the world are just so chaotic, just take a moment to ground in, to breathe, and pull everything front to center. I mean, because what a world we live in today, huh? Take a minute to pull yourself out of the matrix for a second. Back into your meat suit. Check in and say hello. Hello to your body. Hello to your mind. Hello to the morning. Hello to me. Hello to your bacon. And hello to coffee. I don't have coffee going this morning. I've been doing pretty good the last couple of weeks and just sticking to water. But my body, I think, is finally in sync with the timing of this show. So I tend to wake up just before 2 o'clock before my alarm goes off. There's always this slight panic. Well, at least that's my time. I'm over on the West Coast. I'm broadcasting here out of Reno, Nevada. If you look at our radio station schedule, you'll see I've got the 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. slot here on Wednesday mornings on Revolution Radio. That's over on the East Coast. So for me, here on the West Coast, it's 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. So welcome to the Hour of the Guru. So depending on wherever you're at in the world, we're live streaming. Hello. That's my second breath. Well, you've never joined me here on Cultivating Consciousness. I've been a part of Revolution Radio now for maybe 7 months. I haven't quite hit my year marker. So I'm still figuring my way around the technical world of radio land and learning to speak my truth and communicate and tap into these different sources to really connect with people, connect with the world, and to exchange information that I think is important. I go through different meditations and whatnot, things, and you can, if you're curious to know about more about who I am and the things that I do, you can follow me on the social media stuff. You can find me at Free K Parlor, FREKPARLOR, or Free K Suite, or Parliament, PARLORMINT, or Freak Parlor, FREEKPARLOR. I don't know, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I find myself shifting gears kind of this morning, tapping into different channels and things. I, through the work that I do through cultivating consciousness, let's see, exploring consciousness, right? Oh, what's that? It's like yeah, I know what that is, but no, I don't, because science can't really explain it, sort of thing. And I feel like this last week especially, it's just blown my mind when it has come to learning how to piece together the academic side of things with the creative side of things, with the manifestation side of things, and pulling it all into play. And how interesting that right before this show we're talking about launching rocket ships into outer space and making contact in outer space, and going into this play in the world where I found a meme about this too, like about how we're being primed for understanding or going through these big changes and these big shifts. It's like we're all being sucked into extras in this large movie, this large projection and understanding of like how we're creating something much bigger, much broader and wider. I don't know, my mind this morning is just trying not to make sense of it all, right? Learning about gut and intuition and really tapping into the creative potential of what consciousness is, because I think, especially at this point in time, if we begin to understand how we relate to the world and how we relate to ourselves differently, then from there, this is a space where we create, where we find new innovative solutions, new resources, new ideas. There's like two different agendas going on almost. It's like the we the people versus the they, them, the others. Call it the 1%, call it the wealthy, I don't know. They all have different names. They all have different conspiracies connected with them. And this one still plays through my mind too, because in getting to see Deepak Chopra speak over the IONS conference last summer, like he goes through this really profound, meaningful conference. We're like, wow, and then at the end of it, goes into saying that as far as consciousness goes, we don't know anything about it, and the world we exist in is just a dream. It's all just this figmented process of realities. And so I've been diving into more explorations with, I guess, Rupert Sheldrake and morphic resonance, and I bring him up quite a bit in this show. Perhaps because I think in this realm, it's where it seems like all these other pieces are tied together. I've been exploring some of this. I've got another woman that I study with who is turning into a dear friend of mine, JQ, or Jacqueline. She does psychokinesis training, and we did another PK party online on Sunday. And I've probably done, 5 or 6 PK parties now in the last year and a half. And so I've been recruited to help and assist because I'm pretty good at bending spoons and forks and things and twisting metal, and I've just learned it's just something that's become it's a creative outlet as well as a therapeutic outlet. So it's just like this fascinating connection to try to understand like what energy is and what I guess the potential is for manifesting things and wanting things in the world and creating things, or creating this reality that we live in and that we exist in. we tend to contain ourselves, and we tend to get very contented in these containers, where so much of our connections are unconscious. I've got my deck of cards out this morning, and I was in the show. Some of my shows are planned. Some of them I book guests out. Some of them I put in some time and energy into connecting with topics that I'm into at the moment or that I find relevant to the social stuff. And some days are kind of like today, where I leave my channel wide open and allow whatever to come in. And I've just noticed, especially in this last week, it's been a strange week. I mean, last week's energy versus this week's energy is definitely like night and day. Inside of me, outside of me, you know, in the world, in the home. And I've been thinking a lot about home. I've acquired two new babies, too, in the last couple of days. So that's interesting. I acquired a puppy, and I acquired a bearded dragon. So, I don't know, I like animals. I like to nurture things that have problems, I guess. Nurture them back to health. I just find that animals are so peaceful. There's this idea of being able to connect with them telepathically, but I've always grown up around animals, but like animals are my brothers and my sisters. I grew up an only child of a single mom, so I spent a lot of my time alone, but we always had pets. So I've just grown very accustomed to taking care of things, taking care of other things, putting my time and my energy into other things and not so much myself. And then through the last several years and shifting that energy to focus on my own health, my own wellness, my own well-being, the inside out of that energy, like, right, it's wanting to connect with everything else. I'm just going to take another one. I started playing around with recording my shows too, and getting bits and pieces of them together. Navigating my little family of babies. I also have a cat, a fish, and I don't know what's got another dog and more cats and some desert turtles. And along my side, I've also got a toddler. So there's just so much that I do. And so I find this sacred space on Wednesdays in the morning to connect. Oh, there he is too. Here, we're gonna go find him. Oh, what a morning of the day. Let's see if this puppy will follow. Welcome to my life adventure, everybody. Oh, there he is. He's awake this morning. Come on, let's go lay down. Okay. My co-host is awake. Hang on, buddy. Speak of like telepathy stuff, right? Like being tuned into alternate levels of consciousness and why I do this, right? You're gonna have to bear with me for a second. Okay, hang on. There we go. Fan band. This one here. And all my tinies. We'll go here. The energy in here feels a lot better this morning too. My studio room just feels very off this morning. Okay. So we're gonna climb back in bed. Maybe you are driving, maybe you're sitting. If you're watching this, listening into this, chances are probably hold away, sitting, taking notes, doing something entertaining. Okay. Let's ground back in and recenter. So I originally got into cultivating consciousness in the wee dark hours of the morning because I found that this is generally the time that I get all to myself, all to my own, where things are generally peaceful and quiet, but everybody in my household is awake this morning, so I guess I popped up kind of wide awake. Maybe this is that collective thing within the network resonance where in the US we're getting ready to launch this big space brigade in the midst of COVID-19 as we enter into the summer, and it just sounds like as we're talking about this stuff, it's very, very theatrical. Hey, nice. Maxine James. Grumpy toddlers, I tell you, grumpy toddlers, grumpy puppies, all trying to figure out boundaries. Ain't that truth for the world? Right? As above, so below. And I take all these small moments to really dive into the metaphors of life. Okay, everybody. Relax. Settle in. And let's try this. Let's see if we can cultivate some consciousness this morning. And what does that even mean? Well, if we have these two different alternate realities occurring, there's these two, I say two, or these two polarized dynamics within the scale on the spectrum of potentials and everything in between of things beginning to happen. Okay, no. Okay, she's very new. This is night number 2. So, radio is challenging, right? Because it's connecting, especially live radio, it's connecting these very self-conscious pieces together. I just have a lot of distractions. You, here, stop. Hey, okay, me, stop. It's like talking to radio. I mean, it's like you were to put music onto the background and start sketching it in. I mean, this could definitely be quite entertaining. Okay, boundaries, state. Puppy is like, what are you doing in the middle of the night on this radio robot talking? I just fell asleep again. Okay. The kid sometimes gets used to this, sometimes he doesn't. Okay, there we go. Grounding in. I've definitely, this whole week has kind of been like this for me, where things are just, even last week's show, I had, technical issues getting connected, even though parts of it got recorded, and I don't know if it's the frustrations because collectively we're going through things that are very frustrating, or if it's also because I'm trying to accelerate manifestation, or I'm trying to accelerate the gaining what I want in life, and it's hard to say that. I feel like it's maybe the feminine guilt thing or something, right? And feeling like I have to take care of everybody else. I have to do things for everything else, and I even find this in readings too, where people are just told they're selfish for taking on this care, right? But here we are in this place where I think more than ever, people right now really need to figure out what self-care is. Okay, right? Get grounded, get centered, get present, focus. It's been such a challenge. There's so many distractions going on. There's so many people and things telling us what to do, what to feel, what to what, and it's stepping in, especially what do you know? What is it that can, okay, hang on. I'm experimenting something where I'm trying to telepathically communicate the ideas and feelings and sensations are the point of all of this. I'm a visual artist mostly, so again, having to condense it and consolidate it all into words is quite the challenge. Or like in such a way, or in a language that people can understand. Because when it comes to articulating so many of these things, I find that in speaking truth, in knowing self, in understanding and cultivating my own consciousness, like, I can very easily dive into this poetic landscape of nonsense, even talking where there's like, really, and you're just milking it. And things tend to go right over people's heads. Like this morning, oh, this is just going right over my head. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to share this space, and happy to connect in, and hope that, like, it can be an example for how to bring awareness back into present time, how to be authentic and to connect, and how to dissociate not from the self, not dissociating from self-consciousness, but dissociating from the system, dissociating from the constraints and the boxes, or dissociating from the expectations, the labels, right? From the past, from the future, whatever those ideas are, and coming right back into present time. There we go. Everything's aligning, everything's centering, people are breathing, people are grounding in. We're about a half an hour into this. And what an interesting week, too, because I feel like when it comes to time, these different time vortexes and consciousness, and trying to figure out what is the next one, what is the next step, what is the next orientation, like there's this gap that keeps happening, or like a time traveling sensation that you can connect into when it comes down to consciousness. Meditation can bring us into altered states of consciousness as well, right? Where like 5 to 15 minutes can easily feel like an hour. Or where if we're enjoying something, or if we're into something, right, then that hour can easily feel like 10 minutes. Okay. And I keep going back and forth, like, consciously between these different states of acceleration and feeling rushed to feeling very impatient and very suffocated. And I wonder if that's something collective too. And I think especially in the radio space, trying to connect into point and purpose. Okay, I'm just some big babies and puppies right now, and not grounded and not focused. There we go. Stay. Right. Cultivate consciousness with that. Oh man, I wish I were in the chat room too. That usually helps to ground me in the morning. As far as our monthly goals going, I'm looking at the website right now. We're doing okay in raising money, but maybe this is an opportunity for you to jump in and donate, sponsor, help keep us going, because again, we are listener funded, listener supported. Okay. Oh, these are always the parts that I forget to add into, because here on Cultivating Consciousness with Kelsey Sweet, this is Studio A on Revolution.Radio. You can call in to listen to. You can find us online, or you can call this phone number, and you can listen that way as well. So there's so many different ways to connect. I mean, there's a lot of different ways people are connected. And I always wondered this too, like how many actual people are listening at one time and connected. I feel you, I hear you, I see you. Okay, my energy I feel like is being pulled in a million different directions at this point. In one of the readings that I received recently, it was told this, and I really feel this at the moment too, where like my energy is this island, and it's been hard to find my center point. And around the island in the water, just all these energies and all these beings trying to pull me off that island and try to keep it centered, while there's like all the people on the shore in their tents just posted up and watching all this stuff happen. And I don't get it. I don't understand it. I think when it comes to like walking into path and point and purpose, like when the veils start to break open and you begin to step into present time and authenticity and become conscious, or to become self-conscious, there's this, I don't want to call it like a breaking with reality, but this breaking up with people, or the separation from people, where again you're projected onto this pedestal and people are putting in their own ideas and their own thoughts and their own interpretations. And when you're sensitive and empathetic and absorb any of that, right, that's a lot of information to sort through. Like a library of scattered cards. I know what the energy feels like this morning. Like I feel like I'm a librarian, and I walked into my library and I found all the library cards scattered all over the floor. And I have to put things back into alphabetical order, and also rearrange things by the numbers, and then to make sure that the books are on the shelves where everything says that they are. And what a complex registry of understanding. And it's so like, I keep wondering, like, well, why is this stuff all over the floor? We start dabbling into the energetic space and like trying to understand like truth and the matters and what all these different things are. And it definitely feels like on one hand where there's this like these other energies and these other forces with this other level of consciousness. There's something that's like waking me up or disturbing me, especially in the middle of the night too. Or I don't know if it's like vibrational energies that come through. Maybe I spend too much time listening to Revolution.Radio. Kidding, right? Thinking about like the aliens or like these different beings entering into the world, but it's not. Like, are people really going out into outer space to try to like con us all into the con us, right? That's what comes in. Well, that's what the word that comes to mind, to call us con us into this understanding, or to call us all home. Is that what that message is? Like in ascending, right? In ascension and stepping into these powers, or in co-creating truth, or trying to create a reality. Like we have these Hollywood movies and we have these books and novels and stories where we create or source in or find these ideas and this knowledge where people can anticipate things happening somewhat in the future. Or we wonder, like, is it because somebody put it into a book and we've read it on, more than, when I say we, more than one person has read this book, so therefore it has, I guess, fermented itself into the collective conscious. And from there we pull into this information, or we start to see or have a bigger understanding of how things could be. We like develop new concepts for stuff, right? That's where we get to open the mind, waking up, developing new concepts for how things can be, how we can be, how we can relate to the world. Because in doing so, and understanding things at these like intense vibrational light frequencies, we can, in these alternate states of consciousness, find different ways of existing within reality. And here I am sitting on the fence, right? Straddling the bridge, one foot on one side, one foot on the other, trying to understand all the like emotional depths of the waters beneath it. The spectrum of humanity. So I go back and forth between this good and this evil, and yes, there's good, yes, there's evil. But if we look at the evil of good and look at the good of evil, and we start to understand different concepts, we empathize from one point to the other, we can then learn how to build one another, tear one another down in these, like, war states. Because that's what this is. I mean, if we're sending... I'm glad I kind of, like, left the channels open, because I'm thinking to myself, if we're sending kernels into outer space to, like, piggyback off the last show... Okay, so here we've declared war on the virus. Yeah, we're sending kernels into outer space. It's not... We don't send young people because we're not trying to pioneer, explore something new and different. We put the youth on the front lines. Like, this is an active war that has been going on for a while, and a war on our consciousness more than anything. Like, 5G keeps coming to mind too. And my thoughts with 5G go into this realm. Again, like talking about telepathy and altered energies and increasing frequencies. It's like ride or die sort of thing. Learn consciously how to vibrate at these intense 5G frequencies and accelerate your growth and potential on a conscious rate in order to heal, resolve, ascend, tap into these, like, more superhuman powers. We have these big brains that we don't fully embrace or use, right? We don't understand all of our powers, but we're beginning, especially as a collective, if we step out of the gate of the sheeple, if we step out of the sheeple pen, we step away from the wolves in the sheep's clothing, we try to see the flock from the herder's perspective. Let's get a little more relaxed, I think, in that space. Because the sheep to the wolf in sheep's clothing is that spectrum of good and evil, but there's still the shepherd. There's somebody, something, an entity, whatever. I don't know, the pinnacle source of light. The light just expands outward, right? Like, the source, is it source of consciousness? I don't know. I'm so into my studies and all of this, and I just feel like the further I dive into it all, the less I know, but also the more that I know, and I really have to step back and outside of myself and really look at what it is that I do know and do understand, and learn how to speak from this side of, this is my truth and this is what I see, because I think there's a perspective or concepts here that can be formulated that can't be in other ways. But again, it's like the channeling gap, bridging it from this, like, very abstracted visual art form to a very precise language, I don't know, use of language to connect with people or to try to communicate and portray the same messages. What is the point to it all? I don't know. Waking people up, releasing the flock, setting the flock free. Is it transforming the flock? That's where my background is. It's in transformative studies, transformative integral research, integrated, like, researching what consciousness is. I'm a PhD student, or I'm trying to be a PhD student, trying to, like, pull my financing and stuff together. I found this perfect plot of land and a perfect little home, and I see the vision in my head of what I want to create, and I just have, like, no idea where all the funding is coming from for it. But I think I've budgeted it in such a way where it's like nothing. So if there's anybody out there listening who wants to help me build or open the doors of my healing arts research and retreat center, that would be really helpful. Well, we're going to start out with the research and understanding what healing arts research is. So welcome along to this journey with me. It'll be fun when the archives are released and when I get all the pieces to the shows put together and go back through the shows and start to like edit through and listen to myself. It's something I haven't done yet through this, and cultivating consciousness has gone back through and listened to any of my stuff. It just feels so weird to me. It feels so bizarre. I don't know, I get really shy. Like super self-conscious about stuff. And I've always wondered why and debated it, and like I've like put a lot of like work and effort into like coming out of myself and breaking out of my shell, because I just felt like this odd little weirdo my whole life, and I've just been a loner my whole life for the most part, and trying to figure out like where I fit into it all. I've just realized that I don't fit into the system, I don't fit into the matrix. There's like, it's a catalyzing agent. And it feels like something outside of the self and outside of point and purpose and being. And I think it's come through the last couple of decades of different types of work and a couple of near-death experiences and this like intense focus on what is the point of being alive, and what is this connection, and what is all of this, and in doing different works, and like what is the point of going through feeling something good if there's just so much pain, if there's just so much torture, if there's just so much crap. Because when we're empathetic and we begin to open ourselves up to other energies, it's not just like you're feeling other good energies, you're feeling all of it. Good, the bad, the ugly. And it just gets to be really overwhelming, and when you begin to really open your eyes to how much suffering is in the world on all the different levels and all these different tiers. Look at this Hollywood veil. Look at me, look at all the shiny movies, look at all this, all the sparkle. Don't look at what, like, right? There's this ooh, shiny song and dance over here, while like behind the screen there's just like some horrendous things going on. There's death and torture, and there's abuse of those boundaries and violations to human rights and to animal rights and to the rights of plants, the rights of Mother Nature. It's very insidious. And it's very subliminal. It goes back to the priming, right? And it goes back to like, here we're trying to send these Star Trek-y things into outer space, and we're centered, we're surrounded by this programming that has been going on for generations. So not only is it programmed into the older generations, right? I'm piggybacking again off of the previous show because my mind is just kind of this morning. I'm trying to be mindful of the time too. But I'm also aware that in the realm of Revolution.Radio and some of my studies and a lot of the things that I do, generally one of the youngest people around. I'm a millennial. And getting to hear the perspectives of people above me and getting to see that this programming has been going on for multiple generations and getting to have a young one of my own, right? There's generations below me, like I'm like this weird monkey in the middle. But I'm not even in a half-life, but kind of. So if this programming has been going on since, say, my great-grandma, great-great-grandparents' generation, my great-grandmother is my primary guiding entity, or like one of the first apparitions I've ever seen was when I was 4, and my son's 4, which is kind of interesting, so it makes me wonder like what's going on in his little brain, what he's picking up on. Because here I connected with this thing, and I've acquired a lot of her things throughout my life. Be it art supplies, cooking supplies, but things that I use to create other things with. She was also a tarot card reader, so I've acquired tarot cards throughout my life. None of her decks. Not hers yet. And so in the research and in the line of work that I've done through integral practices and integral psychology, through the transformative studies and consciousness studies, go into the depths of intergenerational trauma and healing trauma throughout the time lineages and throughout the time history, because again, we're talking about connecting to the people on the spectrum of consciousness, of time and space, in this full-on realm where anything can occur in one point in time, right? Where all the parallel realities all exist simultaneously, like this big hole mirrors and whatever I don't know if choose is the right word, or karma, somewhere between choice and karma. There's this energetic movement, or this energetic force that exists within a history or in this lineage that has to carry something from before it. It doesn't always. I mean, there's this, I read recently that through, okay, so this property that I'd like to acquire, it's by an old mine. I'm in Nevada on the West Coast, so there's a lot of history when it comes to gold and silver mining. And one thing that I find very fascinating about gold and silver is alchemy. So alchemy of the land, alchemy of the lineage, alchemy of the people, alchemy of the history. And so there's this mill adjacent to the property that is pretty notorious and well known for being one of the first to use cyanide to extract gold. And I'm learning in this process that when you do that, as opposed to using mercury or something else, it creates this extractor, creates like an external compound, or like an M gold, or what is it called? I think I've got one of the windows open. If I start looking for it, I'm gonna get really, really sidetracked. Although I might have the thing open. I'm sure some of the other hosts or some of the people listening would know more about this. If you know something about it, come find me. Find me on KelseySweet.com. Send me some information about this. Oh, I might have it right on the front screen. I took it down. I guess it's irrelevant or not important. I'm asking right. No, it is important. But it's like the atomic gold. There's like different elements. I guess there's like you can extract the elements or break the elements down to a point where they're neutralized, or right where they can be absorbed by the body. So where they have health components. Because if you were to say eat pure gold, or like a mercury, right, that's not good for you. But if you have this like the M atomic or something like that, the compound of it, where it's neutralized, you can absorb it in the body and it has health benefits. But anyway, let's see. I got excited and a little sidetracked. I gotta watch my time because we're coming up on the end of the first hour here. About 10 minutes or so. See, I start looking around for stuff instead of just allowing the information to come through, and then I kind of like break my focus. But I've been doing this research into like learning more about like ozones and elements and how to like heal the land, heal the lineages, heal the. Close my focus, cultivating consciousness, or I'll come up with the tagline of cultivating co-creative communities, cultivating consciousness and co-creative communities, and cultivating conscious creative communities, that sort of stuff. You get the point. So in all of that exploration, like as an artist, as a research scientist, as a behavioral psychologist, as a metaphysician of sorts, there's Wow, there's a lot of different pieces to pull together. Revolution.Radio, you are my global audience out there, so I'm doing my best to speak to many people on many different levels, so I hope it's helping. I'm not in the chat room this morning, so I can't tell you in with you. Anyway. Ground yourselves in. Just wake up to yourself. Say hello. Say hello to your neighbor, right? Take a moment to be mindful for a moment. Feel your feet. Feel what you're sitting on. Feel what you're standing on. Feel the ground. Smell the air. Mother Nature exists out there. I know we have this idea now put into the collective consciousness, thanks to Deepak Chopra, that this is all just a projected reality and it's all just a dream. But within that dream, there's this responsibility to the collective. Not necessarily to make us all happy, but we're working on accelerating, right? Evolving our species, not devolving. I think if there's larger forces trying to hold back that growth potential, that growth energy, the breakthroughs are going to be that much more profound. We try to hold back the waters, right? Everything's all dammed up. In this hell that we live in, all the emotional energy is all dammed up. But we've sprung a leak in it. And so this water is starting to spew out. And soon, we'll begin to spew out more authenticity, and we begin to connect more to our higher powers and accelerate our consciousness aspects and really learn how to heal ourselves collectively through these big shifts, to find the technologies and the resources and the things that are good for us versus the ones that are being used against us to keep us in the sheeple pen. You're not a sheeple, you're a human. Oh, which brings me to a point where I can go into self-promotion. Because this is radio, Revolution.Radio.com, and through this amazing space, we have opportunities to connect to some other amazing resources out there in the interwebs, like KelseySweet.com, KelseySweet.com. I've been updating and moving stuff around on my site and trying to, again, consolidate all the things together. You can find the gist of the work that I do. I've got 3 art books that are up on my website for free right now. One of them I just got up onto Kindle, or like the self-published things or whatever. So I'm going to be taking my books slowly down for free off of my website. You're going to be forced to buy them and feed me. These are my different channels, right? But that's one place. Been working on putting things together for myself on Patreon. I'm just motivated by Revolution Radio jumping on Patreon too. I decided to keep moving with my account. I opened it a while ago, right? And I'm trying to figure out all these different income streams. One of them being an online course that you can take, and you can find the link to it on my website. But it's through coursecraft.com. It's called How to Be a Human, HUEMYN. So we could dive into, it's 7 sections, it's self-guided, it's self-paced, I should say, not necessarily self-guided. It is self-guided, self-paced. You have access to it on whenever, wherever. It's got links to different things, some calls to action. There's no tests or anything like that in there. Some different bonuses at the end. I give different like tea recipes, there's meditations in it. But within this How to Be a Human, I go into the chakras, into meditation, into basics of art and color and light, and how to understand yourself as a conscious co-creative being. Right? I like puns and plays on words, so hue, H-U-E, color, light, all of that fun stuff. I'm an artist. I'm an art teacher, so you learn how to be an artist through these things. Not necessarily how to make something. Maybe make something of yourself. That's kind of the point, I think, to the work. It's teaching people how to make something of yourself through all of these, and teaching people self-guidance through all of this. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you're your own number one, and nobody's going to be able to pick you up off the floor except for yourself and your will and your drive. I think it was a couple of weeks now that I heard, maybe through here, that our only way to beat this COVID thing, our only way to beat this is through consciousness. Because it's a war on consciousness. It's not necessarily a virus. A virus is a concept. It's something that's used to instill fear. And on one level, in this dream state, if we think it's real, it can be real. It's like this giant, large placebo. So we have to counter all of this with this giant, large placebo. Maybe that's what this class is. How to be a human. And you can get it right now for an artist rate of like $7.77, or my full rate's like $37.77 for the class. I like 3s, I like 7s. There's a lot of plays on 7 because I'm using consciousness and symbols, right? 7 is a symbol of the number, it's a frequency. There's a lot of these different plays, but there's reasons why I use this. Reasons, I don't know. I'm guided by numbers. I follow the path of synchronicity in my life, and I track it through journaling and self-expression and art and numerology, I guess. Sure. Symbolism, a lot of things. Too many things, not just one. We're coming to a close on this first hour. I really feel my energy slowing down this morning. But I hear sprinklers coming on. I got crickets on in the background. Rolled around me, is kind of sleepy, kind of awake. It's an interesting world we live in out there, people. I think I might try to get into the chat room. In the meantime, while we go take a break, we'll have a 5-minute break here in a couple of minutes. So see if I can get into the chat room. Maybe not. Server errors and things. Oh, there's this. I couldn't get in last week either. I don't know what I did. I'm trying to update my computer and get, consolidate myself on a technology level. I think Revolution.Radio is going through some of the same stuff. So there's just weird things happening. What I can do in the studies, I just have the strangest things happening. Maybe that's what we'll talk about in the next hour. It's just some of, the weird energetic things that have been happening in my life and trying to, make things happen. Just, I don't know. I might not. I'm really tired, too, this morning, so if I don't come back in 5 minutes, don't hate me. We'll see. I'm surrounded by snuggly things. But there's something important, and I do need to flush myself out here for a second. Anyway, I'm just rambling this morning, and I thank you for your patience. I really wish I could get into the chat feed. I don't know what's going on there. It's good to hear people breathing in the background. We're getting ready to go on break here in a minute. I don't know if the music is going to come back up. Timing even there has been readjusted. Is anybody else glitching? Does anybody else feel glitches? What is that movie, in Wreck-It Ralph? I feel like that little girl, Penelope, or Vanellope is her name. The little race car driver, Vanellope, she glitches. She comes to awareness and all these other spaces. But again, there's this dissolving of time and space if we really allow ourselves to get into it. Just a trip. But what are you? I'm an artist. Anyway, thanks for cultivating consciousness with me, bearing with me this morning. I'm gonna take a break. I need it.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And we'll be right back after this message.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Galactic Interstellar Council on Revolution Radio Studio A, Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Join us as we traverse the starseed paradigm, as expressed in the time-space continuum that we know as the divine expression of love and light. Integrating this conscious unity into the galactic paradigm. So welcome all, both terrestrial beings and galactic beings as one. So be it. You're listening to Revolution Radio. It is no secret that the so-called mainstream media is best described as controlled propaganda. Countless news stories are either totally ignored or spun with half-truths, and because of this, essential facts and vital information are often compromised. Join Dr. Ott every Friday night on Studio B at 10 p.m. Eastern and learn why The Story Behind the Story was nominated for a Peabody Award in its second year of producing unparalleled broadcasting excellence in 1997. That is, if you really care about learning the truth.
Thank everybody for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the one place where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
All right, let's show them what we got here.
Thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And yeah, we're going to get back to your host.
Welcome back, Revolution Radio, to Cultivating Consciousness. I'm Kelsey Sweet. And, man, that break felt like 1 minute, or like 30 seconds. I've been talking about, like, time vortexes and time leaping, and I don't, like, these gaps this morning kind of makes into telepathy. I don't know. I'm leaving my channel wide open this morning. Let it all flow in, because I'm only an observer of the world, witnessing and observing itself, trying to make sense out of everything that we haven't been able collectively to make sense out of as a whole. And it just feels like an impossible mission, but it's great. I have a good time. You can find more about me on kelseysweet.com. Enjoy this journey with me. And okay, so I was like during break, I was saying, I want to draw, but like I feel like I closed my eyes for a second. I looked up and like, it's time to start talking again. So here we are. We're right on track. You're either talking to me or whoever I'm channeling in this morning. So bear with me. But during this break, I decided to consult an online I Ching. So I found onlineclarity.co.uk. Online clarity for the I Ching. So this is the question that came up. I'm going to read this one for you. We'll see how much time this will eat up. I'm tired this morning, but here I am, wide awake. Paradoxical existence. That's all this is. That's all this is. It's a war on consciousness, and you have to choose which game you're in. And it's very easily to glitch and to find yourself playing another game or to get suckered into somebody else's game, right? So, in the I Ching this morning, let's see if you know anything about it. I got 16 changing to 2, so if we go to hexagram 16 is enthusiasm. The key questions here from this site, I'm just reading right off the website. What do you imagine? What inspires you? How can you use your enthusiasm constructively? Okay, so on a personal level, I'm super jazzed right now about finding the perfect home to plant roots for a healing arts research center, research and retreat if I have to at some point or another. I'm really into architecture and building new structures as far as art and communities, and I find that as an artist, this is where my canvas is going. It's going beyond the psyche and the self and the body into communities, into something, into Mother Nature. And so I imagine I found this perfect plot of land. It's got a burnt down little building on it too. It's been there since, I don't know, 1860, 1870, 1880s maybe. Right? This like historical little thing tucked away in the mountains in the desert, where I can start exploring more of what alchemy in the land is. And I got really excited about Orvis over the weekend and really excited about learning about these chemical components or whatever this like substrate is from like this mixture. And I'm wondering if this environment has, I don't know, like my brain is just what inspires me. Science, history, technology. I think I'm really inspired by technology, maybe more so than I really realize. But again, it's a part of my generation. I've just grown up with it. I've gotten to see the changes from like beepers to cell phones. I've gotten to see the changes from no internet to dial-up. I was a dial-up era kid. You know, we got the little disc in the mail. Yeah, it's like the 60-foot phone cord. Yeah. AOL chats. I've been in chat rooms most of my life. Interesting, huh? But technology. I'm inspired by people's problems. I like finding solutions and puzzles to things. So I'm just very inspired by the whodunits and the hows and the whys. So how can you use your enthusiasm constructively? How can I? Well, I would literally like to construct this place. I have it all picked out too. Like I can fund the land and the home and basically the whole project for $150,000. If I had $200,000, I could really invest into some really interesting equipment. Right? Dude, somebody give me $500,000 or $1 million, I'm going to do some phenomenal amounts of research. It's just a matter of finding it, but I'm putting it out there, universe. Dive more into this realm of morphic resonance, into the arts, in terms of cultivating consciousness, right? Figuring out how to inspire or awaken the not only resourceful but responsible side of creation, responsible side of consciously responsible side of creating art. Because if you're creating something like a symbol, like the symbol with the spaceship thing, right? We've been primed and programmed for this stuff again for generations. My great-grandparents have been dreaming this stuff up, and then here we are living it. It's not like, wow, some amazing pseudoscience or anything, whatever. The collective, the sheeple have been primed. You're being primed now for the future. The future already exists simultaneously. I think the collective we already knows what it's going to look like. Right? We're just stepping through that time barrier. We're stepping through that vortex and through that portal. So we dive back into the oracle here in this I Ching. Enthusiasm. Fruitful to set up feudal lords and mobilize the armies. Enthusiasm. It's revolution. It's moving people. It's creating the energies, right? Through PK, through the psychokinesis. And I've heard mixed different things. Like, even in doing tarot card readings, right? The people, like, on the spectrum of, like, evil, like, oh, don't do that, anything like that, like, or, like, these things that are related to, pertaining to the devil. Again, I think if you're gonna beat something, you have to know it. But that side of it, like, that part of it aside, like, through the PK, and moving things with the mind and connecting the mind to the world and things around you, you use your peak emotional experiences. In these classes that I've been assisting with, you use your enthusiasm. If you want to manifest something, and for it through the literature, laughter is the key to manifestation. So we have laughter yoga. Enthusiasm. Okay, I'm going to keep reading here. The Chinese word for enthusiasm contains an elephant, a character that also means image. The elephant is magnificent, strong, a source of delight, and also unpredictable and potentially dangerous. Imagination and anticipation move us with ease. With them, we can be motivated and inspired, or we can be carried away by the power of our own story. I think that pertains a lot to what we're talking about here, doesn't it? You're going to believe the story in your head that you've created for yourself, or that has possibly been programmed for you. Most of what I continuously teach here in Cultivating Consciousness is just how unconscious we are. Like 95% of what we do is unconscious. So these little key symbols, the responsibility of the arts, right? Like this priming goes into that subliminal messaging and that subliminal programming. People not using their imagination. People disconnecting from their creative side in destructive mode, right? It's that own story, getting caught up in ego. My wants, my needs, my picture, everything has to fit the way I see it in the world. And I see this a lot in the generations above mine, and I've heard people from the generations above mine, be it I'm not going to name them, but the sense of entitlement, right? And then I was reading this article recently, or an opinion recently of a friend who says, and he's much older, he's in his mid-60s, but he's one of those who looks at the millennial generation, my generation, and is like, wow, thank you, I admire you guys a lot, I don't see you as a lazy whatevers. You guys, all the work and everything that you're doing is basically like making my life super easy right now. So thank you. I was like, okay, great, it's super easy for you. But it's not necessarily easy for us. It's not difficult, but I think this is an interesting generation where we're really being challenged with, do we hold on to the picture, this ego of these previous generations, like I've inherited all of this energy, and is this the future that I want to pass on to my kid? Is this the world that I want my kid to live in? And the future generations, my generation is saying, no, this, like, there's something else that's happening. There's, like, we can shift the language, we can shift the technology, we can shift the relationships. But again, like in this butterfly metamorphosizing thing, we've got all these large caterpillar cells collectively out there who are taking these newer ideas and these newer concepts, and they are trying to destroy them. And they're destroying them at a very quick rate, but the ability, I think, for my generation to be so prolific because of these technologies, almost parasitic in a way, with social medias, being connect all the different pieces together. But again, it's breaking down time and space. This show in the morning breaks down time and space and that energy, because where it's 4:13 for me, it's 5:13 for the Revolution.Radio world. For somebody else, it's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. It's middle of the afternoon. Yet here we are in the same time and space in this platform. Because this is live radio, this is streamed, it's not necessarily podcasting unless you're listening to it later. I mean, it'll be pre-recorded or it'll be recorded somewhere else. But again, even in that space, there's a time lapse. There's a connection again from the future time to the past to create again another sense of present time. But that present time is something that will happen at a time different than now, right? When we're looking back on things. It's the hall of mirrors when it comes to consciousness. Everything overlaps. So back to our I Ching reading here. The energetic charge of enthusiasm can be used to set great things in motion. It is good to use it to expand and enrich your experience by extending your network of communication and support, marshaling your resources ready for future challenges. And it is also good to use such structures to channel the motive power of enthusiasm and keep it from running amok. That's something that I've noticed about having a toddler, right? He gets really excited, and it's really easy to get him really jazzed, and he's like literally bouncing off the walls, and you gotta like bring him back down. Because our meat suits get excited. Our meat suits exist in this specific time and space and have specific needs that we have to address. Otherwise, there are future consequences. Then, its brightly colored images can be woven securely into the larger patterns and meanings of life. Meanings, it's not just one, there's a lot, right? The image here, this poem. Thunder bursts forth from the earth. Enthusiasm. The ancient kings composed music to honor virtue. They celebrated and worshipped the Supreme Lord, joining with their ancestors. Again, crossing time and space. I think that's the beauty about art. Arts, music, be it a performance, be it a poem, a song, whatever it is, right? Like, if it's preserved, be it the Bible, Mona Lisa, an old tune, or even something like Mozart, right? It connects us through time and space. It connects us to history. One of my favorite experiences was standing at the Metropolitan, at the Getty. Right, getting to stand in front of these phenomenal monumental Renaissance paintings. I mean, some of them are massive, and the detail in them is just on point, and the layering and the way they capture light with the materials that they do, and just the smoothness of the finish. Wow. People don't make art like that anymore, right? But when you step into that space and you're stepping into somebody's memory, you're stepping into somebody's consciousness, there's an idea and an energy that carries forth that creates new conceptual development within your brain, right? creates new ideas for the future. It's inspirational at the same time. I think that's why I love art so much. You really allow yourself to explore it. Right? The authentic versus the pretentious. Authentic experience with art. Authentic creation versus pretentious creation. You don't want to pretend. We're not pretending, we're not co-creating a reality where we can pretend life is something that's not. Or we can pretend that something doesn't exist. Because we live in a world right now where we like to pretend that, the bad things aren't happening, and we'll put on a smiley face and we'll just pretend that blah, 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 but that's not authenticity. It's not connecting, it's not acknowledging the history, it's not respecting your ancestors and the lineage and what came before you, and it's not doing the work to move forward, to heal, to process, and to grow. Right? Get over it. Get through it. Sequence. Okay, so enthusiasm, steps, right? We have to know what comes before. So in this hexagram of enthusiasm of 16, 15 becomes the preliminary. So enthusiasm follows from integrity. Integrity is hexagram 15. Enthusiasm is 16. One who possesses greatness and is also capable of integrity is naturally enthusiastic. Joy, life, elevating. Inspiring, right? Enthusiasm, connecting to a higher vibration, finding the joy despite the pains, finding the love for it all, because when we lose our enthusiasm, the energy that we're connecting to people with, right, becomes very bitter, very dark, very ego-based, kind of like, I mean, you can feel it already, right? As I even picture it, you can just feel the energy dropping. But if you go back to enthusiasm, even the word itself inspires like a bright yellow light. Enthusiasm. It feels good to say. Right? So let's see. Changing lines, line 4, source of enthusiasm. Great possessions gained. It's this property and this space that I want. Thank you and please, I'm ready to receive. Do not doubt. Partners are gathered together as a hair clasp gathers hair. Like the fingers, right? You reach out and it pulls all the little pieces together and it holds it. And all the little fibers bond together and they become stronger like rope, no? But this part of do not doubt. The doubt is where things get destructive, and I've been thinking about this for a while, meditating on this. Hashtag morning meditation, hashtag evening meditation, hashtag midnight meditation. You can find links and stuff to me through all this stuff. So like, confidence has been a big part of those meditation sessions. And we lose confidence when we begin to doubt. Doubt is a loss of confidence. We doubt self, doubt others. And that's not a fun place to be in because it just makes everything stop. We don't take action and we see opportunities pass us by. And we doubt. This can't be real. This can't be true. This can't be that bad. This can't be that good. Because I think if we're walking the other side of it too, a lot of people see this experience to be something very bad. For me, the perception of it in my own life has been very good, very positive. There's been a lot of good growth here for me. It's not to say it's been the same for everybody. And I understand that and I recognize there's a lot of privileges here, but I also recognize a lot of the work that I've done to have that perception. Right? If we release the doubt. It's been said to me and brought to my attention through my meditation space and through another teacher, right? Of this idea of like, why do we play dumb? Why do you play dumb? Why do I play stupid? Like, why do we turn down our light? Why do we not shine our light? Why don't we reach our fullest potential? Why do we stay in the box? Why do we stay in the sheeple pen? There's fields and fields and fields to bound over. What is that? The Pixar cartoon, it's so short. Bounding, bound, 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 and we bound, 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 and we bound. And I love this story. I'm going to sidetrack. It's about this sheep, this fluffy sheep. He dances, and he's all fluffy, and he's proud of his dance. He's dancing and fluffy in the sun, and all the creatures are like, wow, you're so amazing, what a good dancer, sheep, ooh, and he's so proud of himself. And then one day the farmer comes along, and he takes him and he shears him, and he throws him back into his natural land, into his little habitat and everything. He's thrown back in, and he's naked. Or he's been shorn, so he doesn't have any of his wool. And he gets back into his environment, and all the little creatures around him just laugh at him. Like, oh my gosh, you look so silly. Where did all your wool go? And this little sheep is so self-conscious. He's exposed. It's very authentic, right? He doesn't have the fluffy wool. And the growth. Right? He's not what he thought he was. There's this fluffy white thing, and then poof, underneath it's something else. He has a function, this purpose to serve to somebody else, right? And he also, at this point, doesn't recognize that wool grows back. So he's self-conscious, and he's sad, and he's like, oh, everybody's laughing at me, and he doubts himself. Well, I can't dance, I can't be happy, you know, I look stupid and silly, here I am. And then bound, 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 and we bound. Along comes this giant jackalope. And this giant jackalope goes into the story with this little sheep. Oh, you look really silly. Why are you so sad? And the sheep's like, I used to be so fluffy, but now I'm naked and I want to dance and I can't. And then the jackalope just laughs at him, and he's just like, you can still dance. And they go into this bounding, bound, bound. They start jumping and dancing and bounding, and he has a good time. And the sheep, doesn't care anymore what all the other creatures think. He just dances, and he's happy, and he does this thing, and the creatures are like, wow, look at the naked sheep dancing. He's happy. It's enthusiastic. He finds his enthusiasm again for life, and finds his enthusiasm for dancing, despite it all, despite the wool coat. And his wool grows back, and he realizes at the end of the season he gets shaved again, and he goes through the cycles. And he learns to accept himself through all of the cycles. So through this I Ching thing, as we're going from 16, we're going into hexagram 2, Earth. Enthusiasm for Earth. Earth needs more enthusiasm this morning. If there's anything to take away from cultivating consciousness on May 27th, 2020, it's that the world needs enthusiasm right now. There's a lot of distraction out in the world trying to take that enthusiasm away, trying to make everything dismal and bleak and hopeless, and just, it is what it is, right? That contentment, that just allowance of things just to be is so toxic and so dangerous. Where's the enthusiasm? Where's the passion? Yeah, angry? Got some rage? Ah! How can you turn that rage into enthusiasm? Because it's great energy, and that energy can be channeled into the things that are around you. Spoon bending has taught me anything, right? It's that peak emotion, that enthusiasm, be it rage, whatever it is. Peak intensity goes into the form and has a multiple physical effect. And I have found that through these classes, and taking that peak emotion of anger and putting it into the thing, it becomes a sense of novelty. The enthusiasm comes out. Because how funny that these feelings of intensity can become something else, and then it becomes more about the bending and the movement. It becomes about the creation. It's not about the destruction. Anger focuses things on destroying. And I mean, if you're looking at the functionality of a spoon, if you bent it, sure, you destroyed the functionality of the spoon. If you buckled the bowl, I've been able to buckle, I think, 3 or 4 bowls now on a spoon, and they just, once they go. They just, boop, no effort, they just buckle. Right? This is supposed to be physically impossible. But it's not that they just buckle, it's tapping into that source and that enthusiasm. It's releasing the doubt, it's knowing the confidence, it's moving the energy, and having the thing be created. If done so responsibly, there should be some hesitancy and doubt. Doubt if it's ego, right? If it's your ego driving you, then maybe you should doubt whether or not you should do something. This is why tapping into source consciousness is so important, to remove yourself of the ego. We're not sourcing through the solar plexus here, we're sourcing through the crown chakra, right? Sourcing in our light and our energies. And that goes in back. You can learn about all of this, or I talk a lot about this through my How to Be a Human course. Again, you can find it on my website. I talked about it a little bit, but anyway. Hexagram Earth. Key questions: how are you being guided? How can you lend your strength? How are you being guided? Personally, I'm being guided to open up my channels here on Revolution Radio and just to allow the information to come through. Trusting through intuition, numbers, synchronicities, listening to the voices, allowing myself to open up to teachers to come into my life who can show me things that I haven't been able to see for myself. And knowing the wisdom of taking on the lessons and working through them and doing the work. Putting in the effort, right? To show up. And this is where it's all leading me, even to this healing arts destination, or the healing arts research space that I want to create. The mill across the street from it even used to be named something similar as Kelsey's Mill originally, and then it was changed to other things. It's changed to Donovan's Mill, but it was the same thing. But I didn't know that until I dove in and I did the research, and I just followed the cookie crumbs. I've been told I set cookie traps too, so apparently if I follow the cookie crumbs, I can find these cookie traps and then set them for others. How can you lend your strength? Show up. Dedicate myself to this through the radio, even when I'm tired and I don't want to, and I doubt myself and I doubt whether or not it's the right thing to do in the morning. I still show up and do it. Even if I feel silly or unprepared. But I've also learned to trust that I'm never unprepared in this space. Open up my channel, the source to step in, the knowledge is there. I just gotta use it. I just gotta speak, make myself available, put it out there, allow people to find me. That's like the hermit thing. If we go into numerology, if we go into archetypes, Jungian archetypes, especially tarot cards kind of play into this, and we get into the idea of the hermit, which is number 9. And so if we're talking about a pyramid, 9 being the apex or the top of the pyramid, right? The hermit is number 9, so he stands at the top of a mountain. In your more traditional decks, like your Rider-Waite, he's shown at the top of the mountain in his little hooded cloak, and he's got his light on, and he's looking down and he's waiting. And something that's come through a lot of meetings, or an analogy that I like to use that's been given to me, is that if in your life purpose you're a 9 or you're a hermit, you're supposed to, stand there with your light on at the top of the mountain and do your job, right? And then you do others a disservice by coming down off of that level and helping out somebody at, say, a level 4 and trying to bring them up to level 6 or a level 9, and it's a lot of work. I think these Number 9s tend to put a lot of time and energy into these lower levels because they can see it. They can see the solutions, and they wonder why people can't also see this. But it's not the timing. But what happens is they disconnect from their source, and they disconnect from their light. So the 8s, the people who are looking for them, the people who are wondering where the next step is, so they can't find them, because you're not there. Point being, you gotta turn on your light, stand on top of your mountain, and allow people to reach you as well. So trying to jump in and fix everybody else's problems and solutions, or taking the light from others, it's not conducive to collective conscious growth, now is it? So the oracle here, Earth, from the source, creating success. The constancy of a mare bears fruit. A noble one has a direction to go. It goes back to integrity, no? A noble one has a direction to go. At first, confusion, maybe doubt. Later, gains a master. Fruitful in the southwest, gaining partners. In the northeast, losing partners. Peaceful constancy brings good fortune. Earth is first described in the same words as the creative force of hexagram 1 because they are partners in the flow of creation. Creation unfolds from the original vital energy, creating success with an ongoing exchange between spirit and daily work, flowing through to fruition in Earth through the constancy of a mare. The mare is strong, tireless, and incomparably fast. She is acutely sensitive to the subtle cues. When you have a mare's constancy, you will be steadily loyal to the truth and always alert and responsive to guidance. It's funny that the horse comes through in this. Through my guided meditation years ago, at the beginning of my graduate studies or my master's program studies, we had to do a guided meditation to find our cosmic hero. Mine was a horse that turned into a unicorn that turned into an alicorn. So, I started running, and then from there, it turned into me flying around in the cosmos on this unicorn Pegasus. So horses come through. And over the weekend, I got to go with a friend to visit one of her friends, who I'm lucky to call a new friend of mine, to help take some footage of a horse that she has, or a Mustang that she has taken on. And this Mustang, he's still fairly young, probably 6 years old. Rocky is his name. He's pretty tall. He does okay, but he's still kind of skittish, he's still kind of learning. I don't know a whole lot about horses, although I'm very drawn to him, also very intimidated by him. Been getting to visit with these women. I was given the opportunity to get to do horse training, right, or to get the horse to go into the trailer, to get the Mustang to go into the trailer, not just a horse but a Mustang. Wild at their core. I live in Nevada, so we're surrounded by Mustangs here. Not local, but there's a Mustang refuge that's close. And if you're interested in donating and supporting to it, you can always contact me through KelseySweet.com, through my whatever, and I can connect you to that. Maybe at some point or another I can get the Bonamina Ranch people on here too. We can talk about that. But anyway, I'm sidetracking. But anyway, it took a few times. But I got this Mustang to go into this horse trailer a couple of times, and it's just this build on confidence. But in this, I learned so much about voice and direction. I don't know, it's like a great life learning experience. Makes me want a horse. A real one. If you follow my social media stuff, or if you find me online, I'm this lady with a golden unicorn. My unicorn has been different colors. It's been purple, white, and magenta, and now it's gold. But I do have a life-size unicorn that I ride. I take it out downtown for different events and things, and play human statue amongst other stuff. I used it for photo shoots, but it was a prop built for my master's thesis performance that I did a number of years ago. So my unicorn's like 7 years old. But the skeleton is made out of rebar. So the frame supports about 250 pounds. And then the meats are made out of like spray foam and spray insulation foam stuff. So it's super light, but very solid. And the skin is paper mache. It's on rolling casters and everything. It's got detachable wings. I love it. The little girls across the street from me, they love it too. It's funny driving around with it. The noble one has a direction to go. She's purposeful. She has a destination in mind, but this doesn't mean she has her route to it already mapped out. Be open to the possibilities, no? And so at first there's confusion. You set out like a pioneer, open to all the possibilities, and find them as many as scattered rice grains. But later, since you've set yourself in motion, you can receive guidance. You gain a master. It's like at this beginning of the show, the library cards all scattered everywhere. It's a picture of the beginning of the show. We're sort of piecing it all together. So bear with me. We're pioneering a trail out here in the wild, wild west. Pioneering this land of consciousness, because that's what cultivating consciousness is, I suppose. Pioneering the psyche. Pioneering the potentials within the psyche, the energetic potentials. A master is someone who lights the way. You gain someone or something to be loyal to, where you can find fulfillment to service. Once you have this guiding principle, which may or may not be a person, you begin to follow signs as fluently as the mare. The zoo people, Z-H-O-U, people sought out allies in the southwest before venturing into the northeast to face the Sheng. There's a balance to be found between joining with like-minded people and following your own calling alone. But gaining allies comes first. Perhaps your individual sense of purpose emerges more strongly when you've learned to work responsibly with others. Like the mare running with a herd. And when you can spread your senses out to roam southwest and northeast without limit, you will be peacefully at home in the whole earth. The image, power of the land, earth, a noble one, with generous character, carries all the beings. That was lovely, huh? Enthusiasm for the earth. Enthusiasm for land. Oh, and how badly do I want this land? So badly. This little quarter plot, this little tiny acre to build and cultivate. But this mill, right? So we can research how healing arts and all these alternative methods and consciousness can play into cultivating conscious co-created communities. In this amazing little city tucked into the hills. Oh, it'd be fantastic. Right? This is where, you know yourself, you know your potential, and you find your way to connect that purpose back out into the world and build something. And it's do what you can. Maybe it's something small. Doesn't have to be anything big. But I think the message in today's message is this enthusiasm. To be enthusiastic about the future. To be enthusiastic about now. Even the past. It's such a hard place to be. There's a lot of stuff that can limit us. I tell you what, 5-HTPs have been fantastic. Holy basil has been something that's just been amazing. the lion's mane, the supplements. You have to take care of your meat suit. You have to understand what your body needs and get really in tune with it. And it takes work. It takes effort. It doesn't necessarily just happen overnight. I thought it was interesting, too, so in my explorations about this mill property and where I'm envisioning myself in the next couple of months, throwing it out there, universe, help me out here. Where's the source to it? So again, I had mentioned, or something I've learned is, through the gold extraction process with cyanide, you can create this alternate compound, or through these different extractions. I don't think it's always with cyanide. I don't know how it works or how it happens naturally at this point, but you get these M compounds, where they're the neutralized baseline of an element, right? Like gold. There's another one, is it iridium or something? Where I read that, in ancient Egypt or something, they would ingest, obnoxious amounts, before their death, right? So they would ingest this, iridium or something, or this baseline, or this very base of, what was it? Gosh. I closed all my other tabs down, but anyway, they would ingest this, right? And they'd walk out into the sun and they just poof, disappear. Into the sun, just poof, flash and gone. So how bizarre. But also, I don't know, there's that little piece that I picked up on, and then this other piece of these base units, or this gold stuff or whatever, being known to create these elixirs to help sustain life. So we're just so far removed from the natural world and the natural environment. And how amazing it would be if we could come back into tune and with the frequencies of the earth, with these technologies, and to integrate them in such a way that could be beneficial to all. Because I think when we get into this defeatist mindset, or this non-gregarious mindset, this polarized dynamic, and this dual, right? The duality existence. We're going into the dual of consciousness, the dual of consciousness. In this war of consciousness, then we risk destroying ourselves and dissolving the structures, right? Things become very sapient and fragmented, and they just break away. But if we understand everything as vibrational energies and frequencies of light, and we can charge our beings with this conscious perception of being able to connect with the elements that exist around us to further empower ourselves in amazing ways, I think we can get out of this magical thinking, but we can get back to our roots, back to our native mindset, back to our organic connections, where we're tuned into the frequencies of all of this, instead of killing all the things that are around us out of egoic drive. That's all that is. We got 10 more minutes here. Last few minutes are going kind of slow. Taking it in peace, taking it in stride. It would be nice too, in enthusiasm and future planning and things like that, to have this space constructed in my mind, so I can have more consistency and routine in the creative space to really feel like I can settle into myself and speak from a place where I feel comfortable, or I don't feel on edge or confined in any sort of way. And it's just been so important to me in the last couple of years, and I feel like it's the only thing that I've really wanted or that I've really asked for in the last couple of years is space. I just want space. On this day where America apparently is saying it's going into space yet again. We're sending colonels into space today. Elon Musk has some more rockets for us to test out. I don't know. We're pioneering and conquering new heights and going to new destinations. We're being primed for this potential within us to be able to do some pretty phenomenal things. We got to tease out these destructive entities and destructive forces, or allow them to destroy the things that will no longer benefit us as a whole, and be very open to allowing the new growth to come in. Stepping out of judgment, releasing attachments, release attachment to the system, to the structure, and learn how to do something different. Learn how to live differently, learn how to be different. Release the entitlement title. Release the title, the label. There's some really interesting people out there doing very weird and bizarre things. And I think that's just what blows me away more and more about this work. Even being introduced to Revolution.Radio and all the weirdos who do the shows on here. You guys are fantastic. Just the space and the information and the knowledge that is allowed to come through here. It's brilliant. It's necessary. And so many people aren't exposed to it, right? But even through the realm of diving into the IONS Conference, Institute of Noetic Sciences, and the California Institute of Integral Studies, seeing what people are exploring in terms of academia just blows me away. We only know the surface. We've only begun to scratch the surface. And I think that's something that I take for granted in my own growth. It's just how much I do know, right? I really have to take into consideration how much time and money I've invested to get to this point. And it's just been over a decade and, over $100,000 of just education. That's a lot. To get through the system, to learn the system, to know how to pioneer a way out. And last week we talked about labyrinths, right? How to find your way out of the labyrinth. And getting stuck in these mazes or getting caught in this maze. Even like the brain, understanding the mind and consciousness. Like the rat maze. You smell your way through to the cheese at the end. You try to avoid your traps. There's no cheese at the end, there's no real incentive to get out. But if the walls aren't very tall, just climb out. What maze? What rules? Let's see, what else can I tell you about that's happened in my life? We have these last couple of minutes together before we ease out. Oh, I guess my point where I was going, if I can get myself settled, it'd be neat to have this morning slot every day. It's 2 to 5. 3 to 5 slot for me. I guess my time in the morning is I wake up at 2 in my time, but who knows what is your time. Allow more information to come through because there's just so much information to disseminate. And I think that we'll get there. I'm feeling a bit ambitious this morning. been consolidating and clearing out all these other things in my life and finally getting to like this really exciting stuff that I want to do. So I gotta figure out how to like get myself onto this piece of property and how I'm gonna figure out how to pay for school so I can help run my research and do it with the academic backing and the academic support to really get some solid information. You can find me on kelseysweet.com. You can connect with me on Facebook, email me, call me, but I don't know, I guess I don't answer my phone. I'm easy to connect with, but I'm hard to reach. Hard to reach, easy to connect with. Oh, I listened to, I sat in on through like one of those Zoom conferences. Speaking of synchronicities, maybe we'll get more into numbers next week. I think I kind of know what direction we're going next week, but what was the name of it? I got like invited in through the link kind of last minute, but it was this gentleman, Mr. Jim, something like that. And he's one of the like leading pharmaceutical industry people. Came up with Quest Diagnostics, but did this presentation online on like Tesla's harmonizing of the 369, or like if you write 369 in a clockwise direction for each number, right, on things, it has the ability to harmonize stuff. I think I found like the Ormus material, or heard it mentioned through there, and I saw it somewhere else. ORMUS, Ormus. I'm sure somebody out there is like, oh, I know all about this. Send me that information. Contact me. I'm really curious to know more about what this is, because it's been mentioned a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. I wish I were in the chat room right now. I'm not. So if you're posting links on there, I wish I could see. I gotta figure out how to get myself in there, but again, I'm getting sidetracked by other stuff in technology, so I'll have to work that out some of my free time. To make the time for it, I'll dive into my time portals and things like that. Start exploring more of meditation and consciousness and possibilities, and stop doubting my knowledge and ability, and just give you what I know, what I think I know here. But yeah, this Ormus stuff blew me away. And these other compounds, like when it comes to using consciousness and alternative healing practice, like the healing art stuff, like there's some amazing things that people can do out there as far as like implications for self-healing and regeneration. I'm a firm believer in it. And like time travel and like going through all these different uses of like psyche or like astral projection. More and more. This makes more sense to me. I started out as an empirical research behavioral psychologist. Start diving down the rabbit holes, and you start learning that there's so much out there that you could do. This is Revolution Radio. You're listening in because you're enthusiastic and you're ready to change the world. I'm only voices here helping to disseminate that information. Motivate you. Help motivate us. Help sponsor and fund us along. We got Mitchell coming up next. Revolution in the morning. There's more here on Revolution Radio. We're closing off the month of May. I'm going to see you guys next week. Be back for June. Find me in the meantime. If you want to help me open the Healing Arts Research Center, please contact me as soon as possible. I will send you my little map thing, my little mind map, whatever. Cool. Okay, I'm getting off.